Hey, welcome everybody to another episode of FMTV Weekly. I am your host, Peter Brown, and as always, I cannot do this alone, so let's welcome in our buddy, Uncle Ed. Say hi, Ed.
How you doing, guys? Of course, Peter could not do the show without me because, we're inseparable at this stage. And we're all at home, and we're hungry for soccer, but we're dealt with these cards, I guess you could say. But we've got a great guest, Peter.
Yeah, we're gonna talk to Andres Cordero in a few minutes, and get to find more about him and what he's gonna bring to Inter Miami as one of their broadcasters. So we're gonna get to that in just a second, but everybody in the chat room, jump in, become vocal. We've got a new feature that we're gonna try to use a little bit today, and so where your chats can be seen live on the screen. So we'll try that out as we go. So get chatting and get involved. Like we always say, this is your show, so you kind of direct it as you wish. But before we get too far, Ed, we do need to say a big thank you to our sponsor, Caneswear. Thanks so much to Caneswear for sponsoring us. If you haven't gone to Caneswear.com, you need to do that. Caneswear.com. Any orders over $99, they ship for free, and they've got one of the best selections of Inter Miami gear in all of South Florida. So support a local business and use promo code FMTV25. We put the number 25 on there because you're going to get 25% off. It's a good deal.
Makes sense. Makes sense to me.
Right?
Right. Do it, yeah.
So everybody go support a local business and buy yourself some Inter Miami gear.
Do it.
All right, guys.
All right.
At this time, let's welcome on Andres Cordero. How you doing, Andres?
Hey, good to meet you guys. Good. Thanks a lot for the invite. As everyone else right now, just really excited to get over this and on to the next thing, whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
And just to get football back underway, because being quarantined is one thing. Being quarantined with two children under the age of 3 is just slightly different. And I love them. We're connecting in ways we never have. But 7 p.m. feels like 4 a.m., to be perfectly honest right now.
I hear you. I have it's a little easier for me. I have a 15-year-old, but she's a moody 15-year-old today. So you know how that happens.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
You guys locked up in there. It's got to be a mission, man. And people are starting to comment about my shirt, of course. Like my Inter Miami shirt. I got
good-looking shirt.
Uncle Ed in the back. I'm not going to turn around, though, so.
Yeah, and your favorite number.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, Andres, we wanted to have you on to get to know you a little bit. You're going to be, the team, introduced you guys as the broadcast group, but didn't go into a ton of detail. We obviously have some questions.
Sure.
I know. You've had a heck of a career. I mean, I know you started off at FIU, so you're a local guy. That's important for us, supporting our local club. But you've worked at Gold TV, and I think you're still at BN Sports, if I'm correct.
I'm working, for both Inter Miami CF and for BN Sports. We're still doing the European stuff, but right now the main focus for me is my hometown. It's my city. It's this was, to put it the best way I can, it was a dream job before the team existed, right? So the idea that I could call for a city where I've grown up since I was 7 years old, before Inter Miami was a thought, just from that whole period between the Miami Fusion and the introduction of Inter Miami CF, I knew that a bucket list gig for me would be whatever Miami's top flight pro team was to do commentary for that. And to do that, to get the chance to do that now with Ray Hudson, who I've worked with and has been a friend and a mentor for almost 15 years now, with Kaylin Kyle, who's going to be our sideline reporter, who I've gotten to know over the last couple of months. She's joined us over at BN Sports and also is with us at Inter Miami. And then Fernando Fiore is an institution in and of himself. Obviously, we've sort of known each other for a long time, or I've known him for a long time. I'm not sure how aware he was of me, but we never got a chance to work together, despite sort of, crossing paths through the whole, South Florida Spanish/English soccer media landscape. So finally getting to work with Fernando, but to be in the booth with Ray is just an incredible privilege.
Andres, you're going to be doing the play-by-play specifically for the local games, or is
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct. We'll be on CBS and My 33. I'll be doing play-by-play. Ray will be doing color commentary, which is best case scenario for me because we've worked together at Gold TV. We've worked together at beIN Sports. And over the last, I would say, 5-6 years, he's been one of the guys I've called the most games with, whether it was La Liga, Ligue 1. So for us to be working on basically a team that's taken over the space where Ray both played and coached, it's going to be a lot of fun. And he brings obviously an incredible energy. My job is to just make sure he stays in the booth and doesn't just jump out after a goal call.
So with you doing the play-by-play, I mean, this is basically, when we saw this, it looked like, okay, we've got a couple Latin guys. Me and Ed were kind of trying to figure this out. This is the English language broadcast team, is there going to be a Spanish broadcast team? Are you guys going to do a little bit of both? How's that going to work out?
So I imagine that Fernando will do a little bit of both, but I'm not really at liberty to talk much about the Spanish broadcasting team or any of the sort of deals that's been in place. I'm working pretty exclusively on the English side of things, so I don't want to sort of give any bad information or step out of line in that regards.
Mm-hmm. But you could do Spanish if you wanted to, though, right?
I could, and you know what? Early on in my career, first World Cup that I covered was Germany 2006. I started at Gold TV around 2004. A couple years later, I was at my first World Cup as a professional broadcaster, and I actually covered that as a reporter in both Spanish and English. I just somewhere along the line realized that while I can do both, and Spanish is my first language,
wow, okay.
I can express myself much better in English than I can in Spanish, and it's almost like I think. There's two things that I still think about in Spanish. That is soccer and math, just randomly. I don't know. Maybe it's the language I learned math in at first, so I translate that. And so I feel like I think Spanish, I think football in Spanish, but I can express it better in English, if that makes any sense.
That's interesting.
So I put myself on, I had to come to a decision of, did I want to continue to work on both sides, Spanish and English? And the reality is, yes, you're always going to do some Spanish stuff, especially in South Florida, especially for a team like Inter Miami. I'm never going to sort of close those doors because it's mi gente, I'm not going to move away from the Latino culture. But in terms of where I thought my ceiling was, where I could do my best work was in English. And I feel, maybe we can get a little bit into like the nuts and bolts here of broadcasting, because I feel like in Spanish, there is a way that people call games, right? You listen to Argentine goal calls or Argentine match calls, and they sound a certain way. You listen to Colombian calls, and they sound a certain way. You listen to Mexican calls, and over the last couple of years, they sort of homogenized to sound a certain way. But I think in the United States, we can still we haven't yet decided what it's supposed to sound like, right? Phil Shane is an icon for me, but he's got this incredible voice, and I don't think you can replicate that. Other commentators throughout the country will sort of do their own thing, but there isn't like an established American soccer broadcasting style. I guess maybe JP de la Camera would be like the default from how many years he did it, but I feel like there is that lane in American soccer broadcasting for you to be yourself, for you to express yourself in ways that you are not as pigeonholed as you would be in Spanish.
Well, one thing that I've noticed is in Spanish, there's only one way of saying goal, so everybody yells goal. But in English, I've heard them say score. Some of them just, it mentions the guy's name. What can we expect from you when we score?
Improvisation, to be honest. I think this is just from being next to Ray for as long as I have been. I don't prepare my goal calls. They are as much a surprise to me as to whoever is listening. It really is just what the moment is, and because so much of that goal is itself, it's the buildup, it's the context that goal comes in. And so I don't want to pre-plan some canned, gimmicky line that I'm going to say as a goal goes in, which, if that works for you, fine. For me, it's just whatever feels right at the moment, and that's what I tend to go with. So you can expect a lot of passion. I do let the game breathe a little bit throughout the game itself. I'm not constantly on top of the action. I do feel like commentators especially play-by-play commentators, are meant to be more curators. You sort of you present the match, you don't take over it. And so I think it can get really annoying if a commentator is speaking sort of superfluously. So I do let the game breathe, not to the extent of like English broadcasters. I think that's a little too close to golf for my taste. So I let the game breathe a little bit, but when there's those moments of passion, like it just feels like something's trying to get out of my chest, just trying to like break through my rib cage. And so that's going to come across for Inter Miami for sure.
I'm glad you mentioned the English because I mean, so many times, we've got so many soccer fans that's the go-to way to call a game. Everybody wants the English way of calling the game, and I gotta agree with you. I find the English broadcast a little bit boring, a little bit golf. I want to see that. Look, I don't speak Spanish, but I enjoy listening to the Spanish broadcasters because they have so much energy, and I may not know what they're saying, but I know what goal means, so I'm good. And I know falta. I know falta, right?
To that end, I think, and a few bad words, I'm sure.
No, I don't. I don't do that.
Good. Your 15-year-old is, just in case she's watching.
She'll teach me.
I think you can go too far the other way. And so just growing up around at Gold TV, we had, Phil Shane, Ray Hudson are two guys that I learned a lot from over the years. But on the Spanish side, it was also an incredible cast of guys who have gone on to do just amazing things from whether it's Uruguay, Chile, Argentina, guys that are at sort of the highest level of Spanish language broadcasting now, like the Sami Sadovniks and the Diego Balados and Martin Einstein, guys that just I learned a lot from over the years. But you also find that, below that level, you have some people who it feels to me like they're lying to you when they're broadcasting a match, right? Because it sounds like it's the most exciting game of all time and your eyes are telling you something different. And so that's why I say that a commentator, for me, a play-by-play commentator is a curator. And it really does depend on the match that's in front of you. You can't be too underneath. Because that's boring, as you say, and it's that English style that people appreciate, but it's a little too proper, especially for South Florida, I think. And you can go a little bit too over the top to where it does feel like you're BSing me. That wasn't as exciting as it was, and so finding that middle ground while still coming across as authentic is sort of that's the whole gig. That plus obviously all the research.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of people I've seen it where they're barely moving the ball around and they put so much enthusiasm into it that you're like, wait a second, but they kind of keep you going. Sure. That's the thing. But I've seen I think it was on the Simpsons episode where they were just the guy was going off in Spanish and he was just but they were just passing the ball back and forth and they were making it sound so much more exciting. So it's funny because a lot of people are also saying on the chat that you gotta say golazo or something like that. But I think you're right. It needs to be that moment. It's got to be spontaneous. It's got to be, that moment. And hopefully our team, I've seen them play for a little bit and they were incredibly exciting. Even though we lost both games, that second game we shouldn't have lost. What's your opinion on that game, on how they're playing now, as a matter of fact?
Yeah, so from the start, you can't really, going into the first two games, you weren't going to draw any conclusions about how good the team could be because it's not a big sample size. But just because it's a new project, because it's an expansion team, you always have that sort of subconscious, deep-seated fear of how bad potentially it can be if they didn't sort of do their due diligence, if it didn't come across the way that they'd hoped. And so I think the one thing that we learned from those two games is that it's very, very competitive. It's a really solid foundation on which to build on. And so I felt like a sigh of relief, like, okay, these guys have a serious project in mind. It's a team that was built from the back. It's a team that has, key components like that are very familiar to the league, like the Will Trapps, like the Luis Robleses. And so I was really encouraged with how solid a group that had just come together, that had known the manager for as little as they have, that had that competitive edge and that seriousness, that professionalism about him. And I think that was a really positive foundation on which to build on. It's obviously still an incomplete team, even based on the players they had. Julian Carranga was not available for these first couple of games. He was supposed to be the number 9, the starting center forward. So they were down to like a second or third option. I think Robbie Robinson was actually quite good, but I was encouraged because you never know what it's going to look like. I was speaking this week to Rafael Wiki, who is the new coach of the Chicago Fire. And it's like one of his biggest jobs of his life. Obviously, he's a former footballer, now coach. And he takes over this new job, and 2 games in, the season is at a standstill. And he was talking about the difficulty that presented for him and for players who had just come in. Well, that's fine. That's a team that already existed. So put yourself in Diego Alonso's shoes now. you've got a new project. You're new to everybody. Everybody's new to you. Everybody's new to the city, and how quickly it came together into a competitive product. Obviously, not yet a winning product, but a competitive product was really encouraging. And I think it tells you that people are working well behind the scenes, whether it's coaching staff, physios, just to get everybody ready for the start of the season. LAFC was a really sort of brutal way to start the campaign, especially they got one competitive game in before Inter Miami did. And Carlos Vela is as good as it gets in Major League Soccer. They lose that game on just an incredible goal by Vela, otherwise very competitive, forced some good saves on the other side as well. And then against DC United, I know I can see it in you guys' face, like we had them. Like that game was there to be won, and it all came apart in that moment in the second half. But I'm really encouraged, and more than encouraged, just eager to see the rest of the season, because it does feel like there was this ascendancy, and then now we're at a standstill for the moment. So just looking to get past that.
Yeah, let's talk about the league in the whole. Like how much have you followed MLS before landing this cool gig? Kind of break down a little bit of your thoughts on MLS as a league, as we're in our 25th year, and it's a weird way to start the 25th year, but it's a big milestone for the league. So talk a little bit about MLS as a whole, and and how far they've come, maybe, and just your thoughts on it.
Yeah, so my entire career has been European football, South American football, whether it's a Libertadores, a Sudamericana, Copa Americas, World Cups, predominantly Spanish football. I've been covering La Liga for almost 15 years now, first at Gold TV when beIN Sports came in and they got the rights. I just wanted to be close to Spanish football again. And so MLS has always been something that I experienced as a fan, not as a professional, not as a journalist, not as a broadcaster. One, we were out of market in South Florida. I've been working here for some time. So there wasn't, MLS that you can go to on a weekly basis. I'm familiar with it, but I also don't like to pretend that I know things I don't know. So part of the excitement about this first season was it was a new team. It was going to be a completely new experience for me. I was going to be centered around our guys and our opponents. And it will be a huge learning experience for me, because I always believe I love the game of football. I love soccer in all of its forms, in all of its leagues, in all of its levels. And I've always told people that once you are invested in the storylines, once you know who the players, who the teams are, what the narratives within any kind of league is, you can fall in love with that league. And so whether it is, La Liga with, a Clásico, or MLS, it's a high enough level that people will absolutely love. So I've never been a Euro snob, despite working almost exclusively in European football. I remember going to see Romario at Tropical Park when they brought him down here.
I was there.
With Traffic Sports. And I thought, this is incredible. This is not the highest level. This isn't the elite of football. Obviously, Inter Miami and MLS are significantly higher level than
Sure.
that was. But even that, you could just be there and try and wipe the smile off your face. You're watching Romario play at Tropical Park, So once you're invested in the storylines, the game itself, just you allow yourself to be swept away by it, because it is the most beautiful game in the world.
No,
Well,
I like that you're learning the league with us. Like, so, I mean, me and Ed, we followed MLS a lot, but there's a lot of people in South Florida that haven't, and so this league is new to them. So I dig that. I like that angle of you're going to kind of learn the league right along with us, teach us the league as you're learning the league. That's kind of a cool perspective.
To be perfectly honest, I think the hard part is learning the game. And I'm 15 years into my career, 37 years into my life, I'm still learning the game. And so I think that's the hard part. There's a famous Xavi quote, the great Barcelona midfielder, that 98% of people love football, but only 2% understand it. And I think that's a little bit snarky, which is kind of in line with the way Xavi was. But there is something to that. There's always, you could level up in your knowledge of soccer. And to me, that's the hard part. But that's the part where I feel like I'm there. So when it comes to putting in the work to learn the names and the tendencies, that's the easy part.
Well, Andres, you've got it looks like you have admirers already. One world, one goal.
Let me put this up.
Chat room.
Let me put this up.
What was that?
Yeah, let me put that quote up there, Ed.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Well, she's
go ahead.
She's saying, so it's I don't know if it's up yet, but she says Andres does have a really nice, good voice. as we can see here live, and his accent is very Miamian style too.
Yeah, this I don't know that I'm putting forth my microphone voice at the moment, but yeah, I do identify with this city in a way that I don't know many other broadcasters who could, and I'm not saying there aren't any, but this team in particular, when you hear Jorge Mas, his brother, his family talk about Freedom Park and Freedom Tower, I'm in this city in large part because of the Mas' his father. I was born in Cuba, I left Cuba when I was 6 years old. Ended up stuck in Panama for a year because of the invasion of the United States. And it was the politicking and the lobbying by that group of people who are now sort of my employers that allowed me and my family to come here with literally the clothes that we were wearing and nothing else and make a new life for ourselves. Both my parents were engineers. And so now for me to go into, think about that. Both my parents were engineers, and I told them I wanted to cover soccer, right? So they were cool with it. But to get to a point now where, again, I'm tied to the Masses and David Beckham, who I'll tell you a story about David Beckham, in that my career started when Beckham moved to Spanish football, and I've been covering Spanish football ever since. And so to be around these major influences in my life now is an honor. It's exciting. But it means I've got to live up to it. It means I've got to put some work in, So I'm excited to make it all work out.
Yeah, let me pop up another quote here, another comment that you're definitely getting some love here. It says, One World, One Goal says, true, he is similar to our mayor, Francis Suarez, who is a great public speaker. Smooth voice.
Yeah, I will never go into politics. I promise you that. So I'll stay right where I am, and hopefully with Inter Miami CF for a long, long time.
They're digging your voice.
I've always felt like I sound different. It's great. So you watch most MLS broadcasts. You watch most European soccer matches. I mean, in the U.S. we are really spoiled with the amount of football that is on your TV on a weekly basis, and it really stands out now more than ever when you're just like desperate for any kind of football. But I never felt that I was hearing voices that sounded like me, Latin voices speaking in English, talking about world football. And so to do that is really cool to me. So I'm unashamedly Miami. I've grown up here, like I said, since I was 7 years old. And I think that connection that I have with the city is going to show in the way that we cover the club.
That's awesome. It's pretty exciting to know that you're Cuban, that you're from Miami. There was something I think I saw on the chat room that somebody was saying. But what was your first experience? You're from Cuba. That's usually it's all about baseball. What was your first soccer experience that got you?
So I was a little bit of a late adopter when it came to soccer, to the extent that I introduced the game to my dad, which is sort of counter how most people get into the game. Growing up, baseball was my first love. Played high school football, American gridiron football at South Miami Senior High. It was not until I got into college that I really fell in love with playing and watching soccer. And so I think in the sense, because I was so late to the game, I had to work extra hard not to embarrass myself, right? So I would go out there and I would play with people who had been playing the game since they were 3, 4, 5 years old. And at first, of course, I embarrassed myself. And so it was around that age that I said, okay, no, this matters too much. This is too important. Like, I've got to get good at this game. And you couldn't get me off the field after that. I would play until the sun came down. I would play 5-a-side. I would play 11. I would play rec ball. I would play weekend leagues. And I've gotten a chance to play over the years with, professional level type players, either guys who had retired or guys who played second and third division football in Spain, and just learning as much as I could from them. And then it wasn't until 2004 that I decided I'm going to try and monetize this some way. I want this to be, I'm not going to be successful in anything I don't love. I love this. Let me pour myself into it. And I started working, mentioned FIU a moment ago. I was working as the radio station's sporting director at FIU. So we would do 2 shows a week. We would cover all of the games, whether it was softball, volleyball, basketball. The only thing that we would travel for, we did soccer, of course, from the stadium. Carl Kremser, I believe, was the name of the coach at the time. He was the winningest active coach in NCAA. I think he'd had something like 300 plus wins at FIU over a long spell of time. And so I knew I wanted to work in sports, and soccer was the thing I was most obsessed with at the time. And so the only sport that we traveled for on FIU's budget was the American football, right? Because they were trying to really blow that up. And so guys like Eric Reed, who does the Miami Heat play-by-play, he was doing FIU's games for professional TV. Phil Shane was doing the FIU games professionally for radio. And it was on a trip to Nacogdoches, Texas, proud home of Clint Dempsey in the middle of nowhere, Texas, that we were covering a game, I think it was Stephen F. Austin, if I'm not mistaken, against FIU. And I met Phil. Phil Shane was on the trip doing the professional radio, and we were literally the only two guys that like soccer in that entire group of 20 some odd media people. And one night over dinner, we just got to talking. He started telling me about him being an Arsenal fan, and said, when you get back to Miami, give so and so a call. Maybe they'll have something for you. That ended up being how I sort of forced my foot through Gold TV to start my career there. So around 2004, I start just doing whatever I can just to be close to the game. So I'm doing translations, live translations, where you're listening to an interview of Spanish and you're just regurgitating it, but in English. Writing whatever pieces I could, trying to get whatever interviews I could, just to get closer to the game, to learn about the game, because I still felt, you may think like, oh, it's humility. No, I think you need humility if you're gonna continue to learn, right? And so I just had this thirst for, I don't understand the game well enough. I want to understand it the way they do, whoever they are. And that was the beginning of what's been now 15 years of, I said at the start, I would do this until it stopped being fun. I can't imagine it ever stopped being fun. So here we are.
Well, it's just getting started. I mean, you're starting with Inter Miami. You're just getting started. So, you got a long road ahead of you. There was a question in here. Let's pop that up. Andres, what class did you graduate at South Miami? People want to get to know
2000.
you. 2000.
2000.
All right. There you go, Julio. I don't...
Hey, it's a big city, but it's a small town.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, I know I could speak for Ed, and we're super excited for the season to get going, because it really hasn't. I mean, we haven't seen a home game yet. It's going to be a real exciting time and we can't wait for you to bring us the local games with whatever style and flair that you're gonna bring. So, thanks so much for getting to know us and letting the fans get to know you a little bit. And we just can't wait to get this started. I mean, you and Ray Hudson. I mean, Ray Hudson is a gem, and he's a friend of ours. I've been down here for almost 51 years, and Ray's been here most of that time, right? So, hearing you and Ray together is going to be, as he might say, magisterial.
Yeah,
can't wait.
That's very kind. Honestly, there's a comfort level and a trust level with Ray that is just going to make the job more enjoyable and so much easier than having to sort of build chemistry with somebody that you haven't worked with before. When I said I want to understand the game the way that they did,
right,
so often it was Ray Hudson, who obviously coached and played and had a way of expressing himself that I always thought, does he have like infrared? Is he seeing things on a different plane from me? Because I couldn't get where, and I think it's just part of growing up in a Newcastle pub for Ray Hudson, where he just sees things in a way that is so artistic and just so aesthetically pleasing. He calls himself a verbal gymnast,
right,
and it's gymnastics what he does, and I'm just trying to keep up, and I can't wait to get started.
All right, great. Well, hey, don't want to keep you all night. Thanks so much, Andres, for joining us. And like I said, we can't wait. We'll see you as soon as we get done with this whole thing we're all going through. Thanks so much.
Well, thank you guys for having me, and I look to both of you and everyone as soon as possible.
All right. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Andres.
All right, guys. That was Andres Cordero, and you can just drop off whenever you're ready, Andres, and we'll just keep on going. But really appreciate him spending some time with us, getting to know us. But now, Ed, I think it's time to play some voicemails and that type of thing. And
listen to what everybody's got to say.
Yeah, as I mess around with some cameras and stuff.
We've definitely been hungry for something, man. And a lot of people are bored. I'm bored as a matter of fact. I was supposed to be on a plane to South America, to celebrate my dad's birthday. Not going to be able to do that. That's kind of frustrating, not being able to spend time with family and friends, but it's the cards we've been dealt with, like I said earlier, and we're here, and we're here also to try to keep you guys busy. I've got my Inter Miami show. But I see you've got what do you have? What shirt do you have?
Look at this.
Oh, what in tarnation?
Oh, hang on, I messed up my camera over here. Yeah, it's for you. It might be hard. The viewers can see it well. For you, it may be a little challenging, Ed. But yeah, it's a little shirt we made up. People are always something. Okay, there's that debate. Are we going to call the new stadium Inter Miami CF Stadium, or those of us that have been down here for forever calling it Lockhart, right? And there's actually some people that get on me a little bit after every construction update. They'll get on me a little bit in the chats and stuff, saying, I like what you do, but you have no right to call it Lockhart. There's no reason to. I mean, just really giving me a hard time about it.
Yeah.
And so made up these shirts. I still call it Lockhart. Got the little.
Yeah.
Where is it? Over here. Got the little FMTV logo on it.
Yeah, that's a cool thing. And you guys will be able to get a shirt like that if you want one. Peter created a shop for us, didn't you, Peter?
Yeah, I did. I actually may modify this one a little bit. The only thing I thought was maybe it could be a little bit bigger. So I may modify the design slightly, but you could, if you wanted to get this shirt right now the way I have it, and guys, we're not making any money off it. We just created this site just to have some fun with it. But it's just we have a brand new website. The website's not 100% done, but you could go there, futbolmiamitv.com, and it's more or less done. And you can actually buy the shirt there if you want. But hang on a second. We got to put this up. One World, One Goal says, P.S. Peter, I enjoyed Andres even more than you do. All right.
I think she's saying that she enjoyed him more than you.
Peter, I enjoyed Andres' talks even more than you do. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
I don't know.
He could talk. That's good. But he needs to be like that for the games.
Right. I mean, that's his job, right?
Right.
So
I think you could probably do a job like that, Peter. I mean, you talk quite a bit.
You think so?
Yeah, for sure. I'm not saying that you're a blabbermouth, but you're a blabbermouth.
Well, yeah, no, today I'm glad you took over a little bit more because I've been, playing around here as we're doing the show a lot because we're using some new software. And so, having to kind of experiment a little bit with it as we go. So, some new features and things like that we've got in here. So we're getting better every day just for you guys.
So, but Peter, they're asking about, do you ship shirts to Argentina? Man, I think those shirts are gonna start selling.
You know what? I don't know. It's we'll find out. So just so you know, it's a store that it's through a company called Spreadshirt. So Spreadshirt.com is where the store is. So we're not handling any of the shipping. We're not handling the creation. I just upload a design and it's there for you guys. So try it and the website. I know they definitely deliver in Europe because I think it's a European company. But they had to shut down their factories in the United States for a little while, but they've reopened them because of the whole virus stuff. But so go to the website and find out. I'm not exactly sure. Try to put in the order or I can do it and find out for you.
Sounds good. But look, Julio Enriquez is saying, that's Julio Cesar. He's like, dude, let Uncle Ed speak. It's true. You can talk, man. Yeah,
but today you picked up and ran with it today.
Oh yeah, because I noticed you were working back there. You were doing stuff. So we have I have a different angle than you guys do when I see Peter. So I noticed he was working down there quite a bit. And I was like, I need to step it up because he needs to do his thing. And it went pretty smoothly.
Yeah. Let's put Eric's comment up here. Eric Thomas says, Ed is fine. Ed's jaws are just on vacation. That's all.
I'm more laid back than Peter is, that's for sure. But yeah, it's we have a lot of fun when we're on here, and especially Peter. Right now at least he's not talking about Disney World, so I'm happy about that.
They're closed.
For sure, there's nothing to talk about.
They're closed. What else is there to talk about? You want to go to a voicemail, Ed?
Sure, let's do it.
All right, let's.
Guys, if you want to say anything, you can put it on the chat, or you can call us and
786-474-4435.
Yeah, so engage and do it, and let's talk soccer. And leave us a message. Tell us what you guys want to talk about, and we'll definitely start talking about it.
All right, here we go, Ed.
Hi, this is Chris from Indiana. I'm listening to your podcast right now. I just had a quick question. So right now for Inter Miami, we have Diego Alonso. And I was wondering for the future, do you guys think some major European coach like Jose Mourinho or even Jurgen Klopp from Liverpool would come and manage Inter Miami? Thank you guys. Have a great day.
Look at that, Ed.
Yeah.
Wait, hang on. Listeners from Indiana. How about that?
Yeah, man. Thanks for listening, guys. That's really cool. We're getting people from all sorts of different places. I know my nephew listens over there in LA. And thanks, guys, for listening to us. There's a lot of people, from Miami all over the place, so they're kind of like attracted to this team. And look, we got people from Argentina that are listening in as well, man, because this is an international team, and I have no doubt that I'm hoping that Diego Alonso stays forever, and it creates a winning team, a team that's that will be mentioned in MLS history as the most winning team in Major League Soccer history, and that's where we're going. But I'm sure there'll be time when he's going to want to go on and retire or whatever. And I have no doubt that if the team starts bringing those top players that they've always been talking about, we talked a little bit with Michelle Kaufman. Well, Peter did, and she was saying, yeah, the team still owes us. They still owe us all these top players. I think that's coming, and that's also going to attract the big coaches. I'm sure they're going to want some big money, Peter, but. I think it's only a matter of time before we get some of those big-name coaches and those big-name players as well.
What I thought was funny is that we haven't even played a home game yet. Well, I mean, he's from Indiana, so none of them are really going to be. They're all going to be away games for him. But he's already looking to replace the coach. We've only played 2 games, and he's already thinking bigger and better. Yeah, let the guy have a little success first. If he doesn't have any success, then let's talk about those bigger managers somewhere down the line. But first, I think it's taking baby steps, right? So we've got a good coach that knows how to win in the CONCACAF Champions League. That's a thing that's important to MLS. So we've got that. That's important. Love that. And let's see if he succeeds. And, and that's it's a stepping stone. So now, obviously, a lot of Mexican players are interested in coming to Inter Miami. And we could talk about that a little bit too, Ed, if you want. But let's not replace him before he fails.
Yeah, guys.
Let's not rush to it.
That's true. And, moving on a little bit, I wanted to talk about, Thursday, there's going to be another live show. And Peter's got us a great guest. And fortunately, I'm going to be on the show, too. And it's not just going to be Peter.
You are?
It'll be me, too.
I didn't invite you. It's Thursday is my time with the viewers, right? It's a me and them thing. What, you want to crash the party now?
Dude, I totally want to. And if you don't let me in, I'm going to keep bugging you. So.
All right.
I'm gonna crash your parade, Peter.
You know how to Skype in. So, well, no, not tonight you didn't. But you know how to Skype in, so you could just join in anytime.
Yeah, I don't know what happened today, man. I was trying to make the call and it just didn't work.
Yeah, we were running a little bit late because there were some technical difficulties on Ed's side, but we got it. We got it figured out. So the plan is, and I always say the plan because the plan's changed. Ed, I hate doing this, promoting guests ahead of time, but we're gonna do it anyway since you talked about it. But I hate doing it just because the times that we've done, sometimes it falls through, but. This is our buddy, so I'm confident that it's gonna happen. But Jim Rooney is gonna come on the show on Thursday, and we're gonna talk. MLS 25, right, and Inter Miami.
Oh, yeah.
So we're gonna he was there from nearly the very beginning. I can't remember if he was there the first year of MLS. He might have been. He started off with the New York Metro Stars and then eventually ended up with the Miami Fusion. But and I'm not sure if he played for New England after the Fusion. I think he might have. But he's still a local guy and lives up in Boca, I believe. And so he's going to come on, talk some Miami Fusion, talk about the growth of MLS. So that's a really, really interesting conversation. If you guys don't know Jim Rooney, he was the captain of the Miami Fusion in their last couple good years, right, when they were a really good team. So definitely join us at 7 p.m. on Thursday, and for our weekday live.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be a good one, guys. So you can't miss that one. It's going to be a little different too. You're not going to see the same backgrounds that you see now. We're trying to do every show differently. We were talking about that with Ricky Ricardo. As a matter of fact, Eric Thomas is asking, when are you going to do a show with Ricky? Well, this week, Ricky and I are going to do a show in Spanish live. And we haven't figured out which day yet because we got to test out the equipment. Because usually Peter, he's the tech junkie here. He works his ass off behind. I mean, you got to do a little video of your whole setup, Peter, so people can see everything that you have to do.
Well, the funny thing is the way with this, we're using a new application today, and with this new application, the windows are bigger, and I'm not taking up as much of the lower third of the screen, so you can actually see a little bit of my setup. You can see my mixing board a little bit. You can. I know there's been some commentary on my sticker here. I think Judge Dredd was saying I needed to get a Imperial sticker for the back of the computer. And I do have one. I just didn't put it on because I figured I was a rebel. But there's.
Oh, I can see it now. Yeah, Peter, I wasn't able to.
Yeah.
Notice it before.
There's an Inter Miami sticker over here too. If I go full screen, but so yeah, you could see a little bit more. It's a little bit different, but maybe we should do a behind the scenes thing. But yeah, we're gonna try on Thursday. Like Ed is saying, just different angles. I'm gonna be in the same room doing the same thing, basically different angles. Maybe I'll break out the green screen, but I don't know. We'll see.
Mm-hmm. That'd be cool. But yeah, we plan on doing a show in Spanish, so you guys be ready for that. We're probably going to have any guests since it's going to be the first one. We want to test it out and have people, well, I don't know if we're going to do the call thing though, Peter, because you've got control of that, don't you?
Well, Ed, I have an idea. I potentially, if you guys. Well, we could talk offline, but anyways, maybe I could be the producer of the show, and you guys, there's an idea, there's a way of doing this where I'm producing the show remotely. We're all keeping our distance, but I can maybe produce the show.
Because it's very important nowadays to keep your distance, boys and girls.
Yeah.
Hey, what happened with the special effects, Peter? Peter had some cool special effects going the other day, and he's not using them, man. That right there, that would have been good.
And there's only so much I could do with trying to host the show, switch camera angles, load up different things, and also play things like.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, man. I like this. Well, we're going to start, we keep improving, guys. So we're doing what we can to keep you guys entertained. To talk soccer, even though there's no soccer. There has been some news, Peter. I don't know if you saw.
Talk about that.
There's a player, and I am not prepared at all, Peter, but I have to get on my other phone so I can look up some of these things. There's an article in Spanish where there's actually a few articles that are out right now that we're probably going to talk about. And this one's from TNTS Sports in Argentina, I believe. And they're talking about Ezequiel Palacios. He was pretty close to coming to Miami, man. He ended up going to Germany, but he's saying that he actually had a video call with David Beckham, who was trying to lure him into Miami. He's a pretty good player, man. I think he was the one that was going to come instead of Almendra. Right. Which is somebody that you mentioned on the show with Michelle Kaufman that was supposed to come, and then this whole thing happened, and who knows? It's kind of like in limbo right now. So we still have supposedly two players that are coming. There's space for two players on the team. But it's obvious now that Beckham was interested in him. He's a pretty good young player, but he went to Germany, Peter.
All right. Well, there is another player that says, I don't know if we're interested in him, but he's interested in us, and that is Miguel Leun. Am I saying his last name wrong?
Yeah.
Leun?
Yeah.
Miguel Leun says he's a defender in Mexico, plays for Monterrey, I think. He says he wants to come to Inter Miami. That's that coach, Alonso connection right there. But what are your thoughts, Ed, on Leun coming to Inter Miami? My thought is, yeah, he may be a really good player, and he's an upgrade in our defense, but we only have 2 more spots left, and we need attackers. We need that 8, and we need that 9. We don't need a defender. What do you think?
Yeah, you're kind of right. I mean, he would have been great had it been a few months back, and we still didn't have some of the players that we have now. We've got all the defenders that we need. I think we're set. Maybe for next year, I don't know if he's going to be around. I'm not sure. Was he really with Monterrey? Because I don't think Monterrey wants to know anything about Inter Miami right now. There was also a rumor that one of the forwards was going to come over here, and I don't see those things happening because Monterrey is not liking Inter Miami right now.
Well, yeah, I'm looking at my other computer here, and on the MLS website, it does say he's been with Monterrey since January 2019. He's 31-year-old. He's played in the Premier League for Watford, Premier Liga for Porto, La Liga for Sevilla and Villarreal. So yeah, Monterrey. He's in Monterrey. So who knows? I'm curious what the guys in the chat think about him as a player. I'm not sure if Eric is referring to Leun when he mentions this comment here. Eric Thomas says, "Nice for the right price. I'd take him."
Yeah, Leun, he plays for the Mexican national team.
Yeah.
He's a pretty good player, but yet another Mexican. He would work very well with Pizarro for sure. But then there's Funes Mori, which is another player, that's pretty familiar in the United States. He was the guy that won that MLS contract. I think it was him or his brother. They're twins, so I get them confused. One of them is playing in Europe, the other one's playing in Mexico, and one of them was the one that won the contest with Major League Soccer, and they ended up going to Argentina. So that was a big deal, a big boo-boo for Major League Soccer for not signing him immediately. And now he's probably going to come with a high price tag. I'm sure he's pretty expensive. If he comes, though, I think his contract's almost up, so they might be able to talk to him directly. He's a pretty good forward, Argentinian. He's played for the national team too a few times. So let's see what happens, man. He might be, if we can't get Cavani or Suarez, or who's the other guy? Falcao. A lot of people want Falcao, but I was reading a lot on Falcao as well. He's injury prone. He's doing pretty well in Turkey though, so he might have a second wind. But he didn't do well in England when he played there. He's been on and off. Sell jerseys.
How is that Turkish league? I don't follow the Turkish league at all. Although I think, if I'm not right, I'm wrong. I think it might be on ESPN Plus. I may have access to it. I don't know. But I don't watch the Turkish league. So what are your thoughts? Is the Turkish league a step up or a step below MLS?
Oh, they're a step above, man. They play. They're always in the European Cups and stuff like that. So they're I think they're a level above us, a little bit above us. I think at this stage, they're not. They haven't won that many championships and stuff like that. So, but they're passionate. And I don't know if you've seen. You got to look it up, man. Get on YouTube and look up how they received Falcao. It was a packed stadium. Everybody was going nuts. They're known for their tifos and stuff like that. So, as far as passion is concerned, it was the fans that made him want to go to Turkey because they were crazy about him. Someday, I think it was in one of the chat rooms that I'm in WhatsApp or something, that people were putting up that they actually the fans were the ones that brought him in. A lot of people started getting jerseys, team jerseys with his name on there, and he wasn't even a player for the team. You know, and there's I think somebody on one of the chat rooms that I'm in put up a picture of Falcao on a Inter Miami shirt.
Yeah.
So that's, those are the things that'll make players come over here. And you know that Falcao loves Miami.
Yeah,
you always see him on vacation over here.
I think he would be, people would love him down here. They gave him a lot of respect in Turkey, you're saying, but imagine how much of a star he would be here in South Florida. It would be huge. As long as he can still play, right? You said he's injury riddled, and but as long as he can still play well, he'd be that big name face that people can get behind. The marketing that I keep talking about that hasn't happened, but he would be that.
Yeah. Judge Dredd the Law is putting up that Diego Costa is a bit of a dirty player, but he apparently he might be available as well. I don't know if he's in form though right now.
And that's what James Davies is saying, that Costa isn't informed. So I pulled that comment up for everybody to see.
Yeah. So, these are, I didn't even think about him, but he's a pretty good player. And I think he's also injury prone right now. So there's options out there, but will they want to come to Major League Soccer? That's the issue.
And One World, One Goal makes a good point here when she's saying, yes, we are very shorthanded up front. So, and that's where this pandemic that we're all going through is a positive, because, those guys that were up top that we do have were injured, right? And so now they have a chance to get healthy. And Carranza, I think the prediction was originally for him to come back around May. So this works out.
You see that?
This works out perfect.
There's the picture right there, Falcao. Julio Cesar just sent it to me.
All right.
I don't know if you're able to see it.
Yep.
Can you see it?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, there's a number 9 and Falcao on an Inter Miami jersey, man. Ain't that crazy?
Very nice.
How people in Turkey were able to get Falcao to his team, because they started putting, names of him on his jerseys, and that's, man, the fans could do it. There we go.
Yeah, and Eric Thomas is saying that consistently inconsistent as far as health.
Well,
there you go.
Yeah. Well, we're just talking about some of the options. I was on the phone. It's funny because we've got a little delay, and people are just reacting to the picture that I put up. And thanks, Julio Cesar, for being on top of that. And he knew exactly what I was talking about, because he's probably in one of those chats that I'm in. So.
The good thing, Ed, though, is the delay isn't as bad as it has been in the past. So yes, there is a small delay here right now, but it's not nearly as bad as it has been. So that's a positive. I'm curious. So you guys noticing a difference in the way the show is looking? Do you like it? Let us know in the comments. As I play around with some new software.
Yeah, Peter's going all high tech on this and keeping us up to date, because when it comes to that, that's not my forte. I'm not the technology guy. Peter is.
I spent all day yesterday on this. And you and I did a test. You, me, and Ricky did a test. But even after that, I was hours and hours and hours all day researching, trying different things, and trying to, and then still like, okay, what now that I've got this program? What now can I add to it and do more with? So just more ways to make it a fun, interactive show. And I love the ability to bring the comments that you guys make up onto the screen. Here's one. Let's see what the footballer says. I'm bringing this up without pre-reading it, so let's see what footballer has to say. Peter, what is your feeling with the Miami Football Club going for players for their nationality to appease to certain nationalities given living in Miami rather than by the footballer's quality? I don't know if they're doing that necessarily. Do you, Ed? I mean, the thought being that we're going to go after a Colombian just because we have Colombians. Now, there is some sense behind that, but I don't think they've done that so far. I don't think.
No, I don't think so. Because they've got a Panamanian who, there's Panamanians here, but they're not a huge, big,
right?
A big population,
right?
They got a Colombian in there too, but he's not a big name Colombian player. So they haven't been thinking about that. They've been looking for quality players, and that's one thing we got to give Paul McDonough. He's done an incredible job to bring these guys together. We've only had 2 games to see them play, but I've been impressed with the way that they were playing. There's a quality on the field that hasn't translated to wins yet, but I think it's going to. They're gonna start from scratch because this big pause that we've had is they're gonna have like a preseason of the preseason. Preseason of the season again. So it's gonna be kind of tough, Peter. I don't know. There's another question about Aguero. Do we have a chance of getting Aguero? Man, that guy would probably be incredibly expensive. He's up there in age. You know who Aguero is, right? He plays with Manchester City. Incredible player. I'd love to have him. He's up there in the age, but he's still playing really good. He's going to be expensive because right now he's still doing well with Manchester City. I don't think they're going to want to let him leave, man, because he's still in top form. It's like Ronaldo. There's another player who is getting up there in age and he still plays well. You don't want these players to leave. But he might leave Juventus. I saw some reports about him maybe not going back to after this whole thing's over to Italy.
Right.
Wow, that'd be huge. But to lure him over here, they'd have to come up some crazy, contract like the one that they made for Beckham. I don't know, make him part owner or something.
Well, no, I don't think you could do that. I don't know. I don't know what the MLS laws are. I'm not sure if you'd make him part owner, but you give him the Beckham deal maybe where, you can be an owner once you retire. Yeah, but I don't know if you can. I don't know if you could be a player owner in MLS. I'm not sure. I'm curious. That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, well, or maybe it's after his contract ends or something. I don't know. You'd have to do something crazy like that for him to want to come at this stage of his career, right? Because he's still playing well. And something like that might happen with Aguero too, because he's still in top form and he's probably going to be expensive. And even though our team, our owners are pretty well off, unfortunately, they're also being hit with the times that we have now.
That's an interesting thought too. Is we talked a little bit about this. I don't know if it was on a show or if it's just in my mind. I've been, but the financial impact it will have on MLS teams and things like that, because all these MLS owners, they're filthy rich, but they've all got businesses that got them to be rich, and they're all getting hit. I mean, you think about big companies. I'm hearing, for example, this is a large company, AMC movie theaters, right? That's a large company.
Yeah.
There's talk that they may not even be able to come back from this pandemic, that they may have to file for bankruptcy. They may not make it back. So these owners of these teams may get hit in a similar way. They're, not maybe going out of business, but are they now still willing to spend as much as maybe they were in the past? Luckily, the Moss brothers are in construction and infrastructure and all that, and that doesn't seem to be slowing down. That's still going strong. Those people are still working, and things are still getting built. So that's definitely a positive. But throughout the league, some of these people, some of these owners may definitely get hit. And, we did talk about it, I think, on the Thursday night show where, stuff like on the jersey sponsor. Is that now in jeopardy? The Qatar Airways thing, is that in jeopardy because of this pandemic? So there's a lot of things financially. So are they willing to break and even if they do still have that big budgeted money and everything they want to do is still the same. Every owner, every team is going to make a budget for their team, and so it's got to live within that budget. Yeah, they could spend as much money as they want, I guess, but it's still got to play within their business plan, and whatever that business plan is, it's going to have a limit. So there's limit to everything.
Yeah, it's the thing. Peter, there's another comment right there about Mr. Shakira, also known as PK. They're asking about it in case they missed the show on Thursday. Why don't you were the one talking to Michelle Kaufman. Why don't you give him a little update on that?
Well, we asked Michelle her thoughts on PK coming and Mr. Shakira coming to Miami, but she didn't really have anything on it other than we know Shakira loves Miami, but she didn't think he was gonna end up here.
Well, it's going to be at least another year.
Right.
I hadn't read that part, I guess, on in the article, but he still has another year in his contract. So if it's going to happen, it's probably going to happen next year. So there's still time for that. I think it'd be a good fit. He'd definitely be. He's good up in the air, and he's still a pretty good big defender. We'll see what happens when it comes to that.
All right. Hey Peter, here. Yeah, Eric Thomas is saying, "Hey Peter, the XFL just filed for bankruptcy because of that." I was shocked to see that. I saw that, and I love following like these little upstart leagues, and I, no matter what sport it is, I get interested in. I start following, and I watched a couple of the XFL games, and I was really, really surprised that they pulled the plug. I mean, I thought this was maybe the American Alliance of Football or something that didn't even finish the season last year. XFL, I thought, might do it right. They got deep pockets, and the product looked professional on TV.
Yeah,
but the pandemic doesn't care. They took them out of business.
Yeah, it's crazy because they looked like they were going to be here to stay, but these are the things that happen that that kill leagues, man.
And it was neat. They were playing. They were smart. Now they did play in some large stadiums, but they also played like at Audi Field for DC United. They played at DC United's field, so that was a smart. Let's play in like 18 to 25,000 seat stadiums because they know they're not going to compete against the MLS, which is the XFL's first problem the first time around. But
NFL. You said MLS.
Oh yeah, because I got MLS on my main. But yeah, exactly. They can. They're not going to compete with the NFL. But yeah, playing in an MLS-sized stadiums, I thought was a good idea. It's more economical. Now they didn't do that everywhere, but they did it in. I think two or three stadiums were MLS stadiums.
Wow. Well, that's probably But unfortunately, It didn't work out. They pulled the plug on that, and it's just these times. I think they didn't want to wait around. And see what happened. They definitely weren't going to probably continue with the season as it was, and they figured, okay, let's pull out before we lose more money.
I guess so. And as Eric Thomas said, they had some good ratings and pretty decent attendance. So, all right, well, let's let's just hope MLS is on solid footing. I think they'll be fine, but we've talked about this before. What about those lower leagues? You guys know that I'm friends with and fan of Boca Raton Football Club. Very low level team, but grassroots, doing it, fun thing to go support and watch. What about those kind of clubs? They're actually having to ask people to go on Patreon to support the soccer club. So what does this do to soccer in this country? Are all the MLS teams safe? Are there some owners that are going to that really got hurt and may have to look to sell their teams? Or are they all okay? So if they're all okay, that's all right, fine. What about the leagues below them? USL League teams. Miami FC with Ricardo Silva, they're probably okay. Don't know, but they're probably okay. He's got deep pockets. But what about some of those other clubs? It's curious to see what kind of an impact this will have on soccer just in general in the United States.
Yeah, and we've got Daniel Fonte who's asking about what the same question everybody always does. Would MLS improve if we had relegation and promotion? Man, that is a topic that we could make a show on. All by itself.
Yep.
And we probably get in a heated conversation. Would it improve? I think it would. But like I said, we can talk about that topic forever.
Yeah, let's do that on another show. We can definitely do that on another show. And I like the way we did tonight, bringing on the guests for half of the show, and then the other half is us just kind of goofing off and talking with the chatters and stuff like that. So that's a whole other topic. And as Footballer says, don't beat on a dead horse. So, but we could banter about that for days probably. So let's leave that.
Heck of a subject.
Let's leave that alone for tonight. We're over our hour, folks, and it went by really, really fast.
Right.
I hope you guys enjoyed the show tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed the new kind of graphics, the new layout of the show, being able to pull up the chats. Hopefully it came across well. If something was a little bit off, we'll make the tweaks and make some adjustments for next week. But thanks so much for joining us, and please like, share, and subscribe. And we will see you. We'll definitely see you on Thursday. And Ed, you're saying we're going to see you guys on Wednesday. Is that what it is?
We're going to shoot for Wednesday. We're going to talk right after this and set all that up with Ricky Ricardo as well. We're going to do a Spanish one live, probably same time, 7 p.m. or something like that.
All right, and then we might have another one somewhere else. I've been talking to somebody, and we might have another little live. I'm enjoying doing these lives. I kind of like them, Ed. We're for one, they're interactive, and also two, there's no editing, so that's good. So
right. Takes a lot of time to edit, guys.
So we may have a full slate of live shows this upcoming week. So thanks so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next week or this week. Bye. Oh, hang on. Before we leave, I just clicked on this by mistake, but it's a good time to remind you guys to go to caneswear.com, use FMTV code FMTV25 code for 25% off. Please go and support these guys. Buy your Inter Miami gear there. So, all right, now for real, bye.